Welcome. I am back, the champion of Europe. I'm back for my celebration for my personal parade. I want to sing a song for you guys. Is that okay?
No, this isn't The Voice. It's already been done. I already did it.
No glory, glory, Tottenham Hotspurs. Tottenham is the greatest team the world has ever seen. All right. Well, welcome back to another episode of Rivals on the Pitch. The season has concluded. It doesn't matter. It is now in the past. The tables have now been refreshed. So no more talk about 17th place. We're the champions of Europe, though. So this episode, we will finally put to bed a discussion that has been going on since the season has ended. Who had the better season, Spurs or Arsenal? We'll get into that. We'll do our own individual teams of the season. We picked from players throughout the Premier League of all teams, not just our own teams. And then to end on a good note, we'll mention some memorable moments, some moments that we each enjoyed throughout the season. Some of us had more than others, but
that's true.
We'll get into that. I'm Alan.
I'm Randy.
Your fellow. Don't interrupt me. Your fellow European champion of Europa League.
Are you a
not
Chelsea
Champions
fan?
League, but
Yeah.
The Chelsea fan now.
There's an asterisk on that European champion.
European.
There's an asterisk season, Randy?
Yeah, asterisk. He got an asterisk season. He gets an asterisk on the champion right there.
What? Nah.
Yeah. On the most boring final. Congrats.
All right, we'll see. We'll see about the Super Cup. We'll see you
Randy
there.
finally gets his revenge.
Yeah, there you go. I got to.
Wow.
All right.
Let's dive in.
Did you guys miss me? The voice of reason, the voice of truth.
Okay.
Well, I want to hear the truth about
people's
Ange
champ.
soon.
Yeah, we want to know what's going on.
Oh
what's
my
going
god!
on?
Honestly,
You still Ange in or Ange out? You've been Ange out.
I've been on the fence.
Wow.
I think nobody was expecting the feeling of winning a trophy because we haven't. So it was such an overwhelming feeling, and I feel like a lot of people have teeter-tottered back to Anjan. I'm still on the fence, but I feel like you have to give credit when credit's due. He did win us a trophy. I mean, it's kind of only right to just give him a little bit more time. He kind of earned that, by producing and getting Champions League, getting that prize money. I'm not sure if it's gonna work out, but you can be hopeful. I think to me the biggest thing is seeing that the team, once the team, the manager loses the locker room, that's when I think you should really definitely move on. And right now it seems like it's like you mentioned, Pat, on a previous episode, that if Ange leaves, what's going to happen to our loans? What's going to happen to our potential transfers of players who thought they were going to come in? And the players that are here, like if he leaves, what is that going to do to the locker room? Who's going to be departing if he departs? So
The medical staff is going to be departing.
Well, they're already gone, so they got to reboot that. We had some chairwoman leave, but I think the guy from Arsenal is kind of stepping in. And ever since he stepped in, I know he hasn't officially started, but there's been a lot of changes in the club, especially towards like the fans. And I think it's a positive move. But right now, everything's so transfer news is all over the place. Ange's future is all over the place. The future that there was rumors that Daniel Levy might be stepping down. It's
there's a buyer, right?
I did hear that too.
Interested buyer?
Apparently, but it's I don't even know how to feel anymore. Like, so all I'm doing is just not listening to it and just watching, Van der Ven clear the ball off the line.
You don't want to listen? We'll mention it every time. We'll mention it this episode.
I'm still in Bilbao.
Really? Wow.
17th, I don't know how. We won it in Bilbao.
Asterisk.
But yeah, I think with Ange, I mean, you got to give it to him. I say give him a little more time. I think that's what I had mentioned earlier. You just give him a few more months, but it's not like he saved his job for a little bit longer. He earned himself a little bit of a cushion, but it's not for sure,
Do you think he just keeps shooting himself in the foot? I mean, I always win something in the second season, and then season 3 is supposed to be a banger.
So I took that as like, okay, there must have been some internal talks with him and the club, and he must be staying because he's talking like he is. And imagine if he gets sacked after saying that. But
it's a Game of Thrones season 3. That's what it is.
Yeah,
Red Wedding.
I should have just ended on a high, but hey, if you win
but
something,
you have to give him. I think he's confident. I'm not trying to say cocky. So, he thinks Of course, no coach is going to be like, "Well, that's it. See you later.
Exactly.
I'm done."
And that's one thing I do like about him is, a lot of Mourinho and Conte, not so much Nuno or Pochettino, but there's a lot of managers that, especially Mourinho and Conte, that turned on us. They're like, "Oh, this club this club that."
But you don't think there's any truth to what they were saying?
Yeah, but look at Ange. He's the one that turned around and said, "No, that's not it. Like, I'm tired of the media portraying us a certain way." And guess what? He came out with a trophy. So that's the kind of mentality that we needed to someone to stand up for us, especially with the media. And when they start saying this and that about us, and you're bound to fail in the finals. You're not going to beat anybody in the finals. And he's like, why not? Why not? Why not? And I think that's the type of attitude we need. I'm not sure if, like I said, I'm not sure if he's the one, but I am hopeful. And if he's not, then the next person that they bring in has to have that same mentality, that same kind of.
You got a trophy, but at the cost of what? Of the Premier League, you're 22 losses.
Oh my god!
We
were coming in third and fourth, and we were being told, well, it doesn't matter because you don't win trophies. So what does it matter?
But that's what I think a lot of people were discussing about is like they're talking about how Ange prioritized the Europa League instead of the Premier League, and they didn't see that.
And he got hurt, and then he wasn't there. So Van der Ven and Romero didn't play a single game of the Premier League. Maybe Romero a few minutes, but Van der Ven barely played once he got back from injury. He only played Europa. So he clearly put all his eggs in that basket. But look what happened to Kulusevski. Injured as soon as he came on. So can you blame him? Why lose 2? Because then we would be the talk of the town if we lost both.
No, that'd just be normal.
No, exactly. You see?
Normal talk.
Of course. Look, it's Spurs, blah, blah. So now we do something differently. Now it's all of a sudden, you can't do that. You can't do that. And why not? We came in second, third, fourth, fifth. We were finishing above all these teams. We were finishing above Arsenal. We were finishing above Chelsea. And guess what? There people were saying, it doesn't matter. You don't have a trophy at the end of the day. And now we do. But of course, 17th, a spot above relegation isn't where we want to be. But it's what we had to do.
So I think this goes in nicely into this segment we're going to go into. The topic is, as we discussed, was who had a better season? Arteta has been Arsenal head coach for, what is it, Pat? 6 years now, I believe so?
Yeah.
6 years, and he was only able to get, I believe, one FA Cup, one FA Cup, 2 Community Shields, and those were in his first 2 years. And after that, he's, finished recently finished second place 3 times. They reached the semifinals of the Champions League this season, and that was basically it. Sadly, another trophyless season. Compared to Spurs, who finished in 17th place, who's had 22 losses, who is one spot above regulation, but did end up winning the Europa League championship, which is their first trophy. And now they still have the Super Cup, so they could add more to it. But as it stands right now, I want to hear Pat's side and Alan's side. What
it's not our first
and
trophy.
you try to sell it.
Okay, you want us to sell
had
it.
a better
Gotcha.
season, and then I'll probably be the deciding factor. But I want to hear from, Arsenal, who's been with the same head coach for 6 years, compared to Ange, who's only been there 2 years. Mm-hmm. You see the difference, but I mean, everyone has a different idea of what successful means. So, all right, guys, take it.
You want to start, Alan?
No, you go. Go ahead. I want to see what you have to say.
Okay, so I think we do have to separate this season from the trajectory of both managers, right? Because I think if you take into account what Arteta has done with Arsenal for the past couple years, he really turned this club around. And I think people outside of the Arsenal, club, and some fans within, they basically are demanding that Arsenal win a trophy, or saying that Arsenal has to win a trophy, or otherwise all this for nothing. And I get that, you know what I mean? At the end of the day, no one's going to remember where you end up if there's not like a title with your name on it. I get that. So I think we do have to separate everything else, because I think Tottenham and Arsenal have been on different paths for a couple of years now. Like Alan said, Tottenham was finishing above Arsenal for a couple of years. And there's nothing to show for it, so it doesn't mean much, like you said. So I think we do have to separate it. In terms of this season, I mean, you have to say that Tottenham were more successful, because out of all the competitions that we were in, and out of all the competitions that they were in, they're the ones who ended up winning one of the competitions, while we won nothing. So they're clearly the more successful team out of the two. As far as who had the better season, I would say Arsenal had the better season. By the way, because we don't watch games just to watch the last, what the scores at the end of the day. You watch it to see how players are, to see how the team plays. And I don't think a lot of people watching Tottenham this season would say that they have enjoyed the football that was played for the majority of the season. I mean, to finish 17th in the league, and to the amount of points that they have would have had them relegated in the past 3 seasons. I mean, that says even more, I think. I think Arsenal would have walked the Europa League, the opponents that both teams had. I think they would have walked it. I think we played the higher caliber football. We had higher quality opponents, and we made it very far. And like I said, I think Tottenham were most successful this season. They ended up with something to show for it, but there's a reason, you get paid more money for ending up where you are. And I think we ended up getting more money overall. So I think we had the better season. I think now we can go out into the summer and spend a little more money, and then we'll see what happens next season. I think like I said, that's only separating the season. As far as the Arteta talk, I get it. I think he does need something to show for it. But at the end of the day, I think the only reason we're demanding so much of him is because of where we are now. Second, quarterfinals in the Champions League. There has to be something. But he's the reason that we are here. I mean, if we remember, like I said, he took this team when we finished 8th with the Aston Villa coach, Unai Emery, and Arteta was just content. Arsene Wenger was only content with top 4. And even at the end, when he retired, we had missed Champions League for the last 4 years. So the fact that we are now here demanding trophies has to be of some credit to what Arteta has done. So, like I said, I don't think you can compare the 7 years to Ange's 2 years. You know what I mean? I think he missed last season. They bottled Champions League, and this season it was the worst season in Tottenham's history in the Premier League, and it would have been relegated in the past 3. So I think Arsenal had the better season. All right, I'll leave it there.
I just want to clarify, we didn't play Champions League last year.
I know. No, I'm saying you guys bottled getting into it. Because it was in your hands. And
you want to talk about where you were. We were sitting 8th with Conte, and then we went to 5th, and now we won the Europa League. But so, all right, here's my rebuttal. I think.
Okay.
All right, I sound really loud. I think it's funny that the narrative starts to change now that we've managed to win a trophy. I know, Rio. It's okay. You're upset. Now that the Spurs have won a trophy, now the narrative's changing, right? Because before we were always told how unsuccessful we were because we didn't have the silverware at the end of the season, right? So when that question is asked is who had a better season, I think a lot of people misinterpret that and say, who's a better team? And I'm not going to sit here and say Tottenham's a better team this season than Arsenal, right? But at the same time, if we're using the same, measurables as we were in the past for who had a better season, what was it? It was always silverware, and that was always used against us, saying, "Hey, you don't have the silverware, so you can't talk. You're not part of this conversation." So now that we do have the silverware, and we managed to, like I said earlier, we went from 8th place from no Champions League to 5th place. There's our improvement too, and this is Ange's second season and first season. We lose Harry Kane, we lose all these. Our team. Everyone tells us we're done, and we managed to finish 5th, but that wasn't good enough because we didn't get anything. But now that we have silverware, now it's a whole different narrative. So at the end of the season, I wasn't gonna sit up here. I didn't like this whole narrative that was going on about who had the better season because, like Pat was saying, oh well, it's different, and it is. But then there's a lot of smack being talked, And then I was like, you know what? No, I am not going to stand for that. You know what? We had the better season because at the end of it, we had our parade. At the end of it, we had something to show for. At the end of it, we managed to cross that finish line. Sure, it was Europa, and we understand that it's not the same caliber as a Champions League. But guess what? We're in that spot next season, just like you are. And sure, we finished 17th, but you know what? There was somewhat, I don't want to say it was a tactic, but there was a significant drop off in the league for a reason so that we can cross that finish line. And you know what? We could have won. We could have split more games. But if we would have came home without nothing, we wouldn't have any Champions League and we wouldn't have any trophies. So we would just be like Randy said, oh, it's normal talk. So I think, like I said, at the end of the day, yeah, we had something to show for and celebrate. So as far as quote unquote successful season, better season, I think we did. Are we the better team? No, we have a lot of issues that we need to get rid of, or we have a lot of improvement for sure for next season. But I mean, that's next season, and we're not talking about next season. We're talking about the here and now. So.
And we will talk about next season soon. I mean, this season, we only have a couple months before it starts, and I think next one might be a better gauge because we will be competing on all same fronts.
That is true. And I also think of it this way. I think if Arsenal would have won the Europa League, I think they would be equally as celebrating as we are, But,
yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with celebrating. I think you guys, I said, it was a success. I just think to myself, I think like when we won that FA Cup, the FA Cup that Arteta won, he won it in his first season, and now people are saying, oh, like they're talking about the manager for Crystal Palace. Oh, like phase one, whatever his name is, beat Arteta. Well, Arteta won it in his first season too. But we finished 8th that season. Would I trade that another FA Cup and outside of Europe for the FA Cup? Like I wouldn't trade where we are now for that season again. Absolutely not. That's where my mindset kind of comes from. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And like you talked about trajectory, and I'm not taking account of that because I'm taking the question literally just this season, and obviously the trajectory we have been on different paths. I mean, we've gone through how many managers in the last 4, 5, 6 seasons?
Arteta's faced like 3 different managers from Spurs side, so it's hard to say.
So, that's true. Yeah.
But if we're talking, August through May, at the end of the day, we did what we had to do. But like I said, I think a lot of people online take the question differently, and they I don't think the
They
question
flip
is
it?
who's a better team. It's because
Yeah.
I might be a little bit, cocky and a little bit, but I'm not super delusional. I'm just a little delusional. Not just
No, I
overly.
think that's the thing is we all are a little delusional. We're a little cocky, but we're more realistic in a sense than other people are.
So
yeah, and when you have when you win the easiest Premier League or when you win it during COVID,
Oh,
it must be
I was just
easy.
gonna say.
It must be
Oh,
easy.
so-
I was
Wait,
gonna
wait,
say
wait,
now
wait,
we should say what is easier, the Europa League or the Premier League? I guess everyone
I
would
was
have
going to
said the
say,
Europa
Randy,
League.
now who do you think had the better season? Because Liverpool did win a championship, but so did Tottenham, and theirs is European.
Yeah,
we're
but
playing the
if you
Super
do
Cup.
remember our debate on what we ranked our trophies, Premier League was above Europa.
You got caught, Alan. Sorry.
There you go. And Alan even seconded that. He was on board with that.
Damn, he clipped you. He just said,
Yeah, there you go.
There's no evidence.
No evidence.
You know what? I changed my mind. I looked at the trophy and I was like, "Wait, this one's bigger." So obviously it means more. Size matters.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
You hear that, ladies? There you go. Size matters. Okay. Well, I mean, this sort of comes back down to what we spoke about Eric De Haag with Manchester United when he won the FA Cup against Manchester City in his last full season, but he still had he had a decent season. And
I mean,
they were
can
saying,
you say
was
he
that
had it better
considered? What?
You can almost say he had it better than Ruben, though.
Yeah. But it sort of
Never
makes
mind.
you wonder if he would have stayed because all the points that he accumulated, most of those points are still his.
Yeah.
But going back to the better season. Yeah, I remember we always say that better season, successful season, or better season is done by silverware, which of course Spurs has got. But you look at it, Arsenal has been. Let's just go off of this this season. Arsenal second again. They had a good record against the top six. They went to the semifinals of the Champions League and lost to the winners of it. They were in third or second place, third place in the Champions League in the stage.
Second or third, yeah.
Yeah, I think it might have been Inter who was second, but they had a good position there. Of course, like you and Pat mentioned, they played football a little more. It was much more fun to watch compared to Spurs, but again, trophyless, and Spurs was a mess. Luckily, they didn't get relegated thanks to Arsenal.
Yeah.
But the Europa League wasn't. I don't know. It wasn't. It wasn't as entertaining as one would think, as it has how it's been years before. The final was lackluster, but sometimes you win games and you win championships without it being exciting.
What happens to you win however you win?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's something.
I mean-
a win's a win. It's sometimes we win beautifully, sometimes we win ugly. But
If
you got it over the line and you got the silverware.
If you guys remember Mourinho's Chelsea, the one that has the record for least goals conceded, I think it was 10 for the entire season. And people were saying, "Oh, boring Chelsea," but he got them over the line.
Yeah.
That's a Premier League trophy, which eventually led to another one and another one. They had, I think, 3 after Mourinho. So sometimes you need that little push, and maybe Tottenham will now have the confidence to go and feel like they're not bottlers. You know what I mean?
I think that you're right. I think even now, I know the season hasn't even started, but I already feel that
Momentum.
no, the weight of that we have to win now is okay. We can, not saying that we can sit back and relax and enjoy another 17 years without a trophy, but it's more of okay, we can sit back and not worry about this narrative that keeps going on, or the memes and all the banter. It's still gonna be there, and I expect it. And,
Yeah.
and we're all gonna go through it, right? But
Yeah.
but
But now you feel like it's doable in this time
Exactly.
period.
We
It's
did it.
yeah, we can do it again. Not
Like you
tomorrow,
mentioned,
but maybe in the second season. But it's doable. We saw it
Yeah.
and we did it.
it's like how Pat was saying with Mourinho. Like he won it, and then it just led to more. And I think it's not like we're gonna win something next season. Well, we have to apparently now because Ange fucking said it. But
Unless they fire him.
right,
Yeah.
that's true.
But then
Who knows?
again, season 3 that would be the best season 3 ever because it's that plot twist. Boom, main character killed off.
But I think that momentum that like okay, like we don't have to. We have something to carry us with us. Whatever this. I don't want to say spiritual, but whatever. Like when the serial winner is like, oh well, you have this in your DNA. Not that we have it in our DNA, but we can hold on to that and say, hey, we've won it. We won on the big stage, so we'll see.
Yeah.
All right, and to get the answer done, because I think we're probably gone a little too long on this. But even though I hate both, I hate one more than I hate the other. I do think overall, Arsenal did have a better season. They were second place, so that could have gotten. They were in the semifinals. They could have won the Champions League. They were in second place in the Premier League, so they could have won. Because of the point gap, they wouldn't have won. But
we could have won the Champions League final.
That was if you were in it, but you didn't. But they just think they had better chances to have more silverware than what you had. Yes, you won a Europa League final.
We went to the. We were in the semifinals.
This season,
we were in the semifinals. The Carabao semifinals. We were there. We went further in the FA. So I don't. What do you mean more silverware?
But the thing is, as we discussed, the most important trophies are Champions League, Premier League, and then
they
Europa.
took nothing. Neither.
But they were in second place. You could say second place because they went to the semifinals. They were closer in those than you were. You won the Europa League.
I can't get close in the Champions League. I wasn't in it.
Yeah, exactly. But still, and you weren't even close in the Premier League. And this is off the stats that we were going off.
What about the other cups? See, people forget we were in another semifinal as well.
I know, and you lost to Liverpool.
Missed in the midst of our injury crisis. But hey, you know what?
Yeah.
But
then you see his injury crisis and see what they've done.
That's true.
So it's the same thing.
No, it's not the same thing.
If you look at the number, like least goals conceded.
It's not the same thing.
We're in second, undefeated against the top 6.
Order in the court. My say is final.
You want to talk about injuries,
there you go.
But then you don't take consideration who was injured and for how long and what position.
Yeah, who was injured? You got kids.
But that's on the manager for not. He had the summer and he had the winter, right?
And Arsenal even as well. They had
we did.
They they didn't have the biggest squad as well, and they managed.
No, our bench players are injured. We have an injury crisis. Come on, get out of here.
I know. Please, I don't want to hear that. All right, I regret picking Arsenal. Let's go on to the next subject. All right.
Okay. So, all right. So let's move on to team of the season. So last year when we first started our lovely podcast, episode 2 or 3. Actually, I think it was episode 1.
Yeah, it might have been one. No, because Randy was in it.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Randy wasn't in the first episode.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, I wasn't.
We did a combined team of the season. I think it would be fair this time, just to change things up again, that we each do our own team of the season. And all players are available. Any formation that you want, because you may want to fit an extra position in there or something like that. So I think we should all have the freedom to pick the best 11. And are we doing coaches too?
Nah, leave the coaches out.
Okay. Maybe we should choose a coach.
Good luck. We're all going to agree on one.
Yeah,
right. It's not Arteta.
All right.
Not our slot.
All right.
Oh, yeah. We're going to go over Ange, right?
He took silverware.
So
okay.
Slot machine, baby.
We are choosing the starting 11, including goalkeeper, any information that you want. Pick any of the players that you think were the best players as best 11 player of this season.
Let's start off at goalkeeper.
All right.
I guess
Let's go off the bottom. Let's go from the positions of the table from down up.
Let's go from the size of silverware. All right, I'll go first because I got the biggest. Okay. All right, so goalkeeper, I'll start.
Yeah, go ahead.
I will go with Nottingham Forest goalkeeper Matt Sells.
Wow, this is a hater. What a
No,
hater.
I have my reasons. You want to know my reasons?
Give me your reasons. Give
Because
me your
the
reasons.
other guy's Arsenal.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's it. Next
Because the
one.
other guy has an ugly beard. No, so the reason I picked Matt Sells, because obviously he's the joint Golden Glove winner with David
Correct.
Raya, right?
Yeah.
Which is, I hate to say it, but he's a good keeper as well. But I think Matt Sells, behind his defensive line and how many more defensive saves he had to do compared to what Raya had to do, I think he outperformed in that aspect. So that's why I picked him.
Okay, that's fair.
If David Raya had more clean sheets, then I would have been like, okay, like that. That's what that's the biggest thing a goalkeeper can do, right? It's clean sheets.
Yeah.
Yep.
But since they're joint, and then he had just more saves, and like I said, behind that line, when you're standing behind Gabriel and Saliba, like that's a lot of help, So I think he did more with less.
Okay, that's fair. You're allowed to be wrong, and it's all opinion, right?
Yeah, that's why you're gonna be wrong.
I picked Kinski, so I guess I'll have to change my mind.
Kinski,
Yeah.
clip it.
No, so I picked David Raya.
Of course,
Of course I did. And I'll tell you my
Wow.
reasons. I'm not gonna because I think regardless of who's in front of you, obviously the clean sheets speak, and they are tied on clean sheets. This is David Raya's second season getting the Golden Glove, so I think that shows a little bit of consistency. And on top of that,
team of the season, not seasons.
I know. I'm just saying. He's a. If you've got to pick the best one of the season, I think he's better than Matt Sells. So I think if the season were to repeat 10 times, I think David Raya would probably end up edging him. So I think David Raya is the better goalkeeper, especially also when it comes to like distribution, playing with your feet. I think it's a different style that it takes a little bit more quality. And we also have the least goals conceded. And I know that, like you said, I think Arsenal have a better defense than Nottingham Forest. But it can't be all defense. It's more than 10 goals difference. So I think that speaks for itself. And like I said, we are undefeated against the Big Six again another year. So I think he had wonderful performances against the big teams. So I think that accounts for a little bit more, in my opinion. So David Raya.
David Raya had 86 saves. Guess how much Matt Sells had?
How many?
120. He has almost 40
that's
more.
because of the style they play. I mean, David Raya also has more distributions. He had assists.
Yeah, but then again, that is the way you guys play. And
exactly. So I think it takes more. I qualify that as being more diverse, and I think he was a better keeper.
Well, I have to agree with Alan. I picked Sells
On
because
everything?
of no, not on everything. Just because you got a trophy doesn't think I'm going to be on your best friend now, right? Because we're trophy buddies now.
I only speak European.
Oh, really? Good luck,
Wow.
Bobo. You speak what, Swedish or Finnish? Bobo Fraggins, whatever Baggins.
I speak Bilbao.
No.
Español.
Okay. Well, I agree. I think Nottingham Forest, they weren't supposed to be where they're at, and a lot of that you have to go down to the goalkeeper. And I agree with Alan that they don't have the best defense, so it's more work on him. And they were in third place for the longest time, I believe. Yeah, and Alan gave up stats that Matt Sells does have more saves than Raya, and I just think of Nottingham Forest is there due to their goalkeeping, and you got to give credit to where credit is due. I go with Sells over Raya.
I totally get what you guys are saying. I just think that like if you the amount of saves that you had are if it is down to the way the teams play, then it has nothing to do with the goalkeeper. So what I was saying is I think Rhea does a lot more on the ball than Matt Sells does, and maybe he doesn't get the chance to, but then like that's why. So like, I think it's totally fair. I was trying to figure out which one I would go for, but I think when you think about it, one keeper doing this for one season and stepping up to that level, I think the jump from where the standard is much higher. So it seems like he was like better, but I think Rhea is still a little bit higher than him. He's just maintained that. So it's hard to, you know what I mean, to see Rhea doesn't make a bigger jump. And that's why it doesn't feel like he's like the better keeper, but sometimes,
No.
but
It's not about jump. It's about its season performance, and I think the stats speak for themselves. But
exactly.
Who'd
I
have
guess
thought
it's how
he
you
would have
interpret-
been?
46
who
goals
thought he would've
conceded
been?
against 34. I mean, like,
But then again, you guys have money to buy these players. Nottingham Forest don't have the same
well,
bank
we're
account.
not rating based on price. We're
we're
you
not.
know,
We're also not doing based off of
if that was
last
the case,
season.
Onana would be
Yeah.
player of the season because he was
Oh,
probably
gosh.
worth more.
That is
I mean-
be gone. Hey, is he even a goalkeeper? I think he lied about it.
But good picks overall. I mean, it could have been either one. I think
Yeah,
last
yeah,
season
yeah.
we went Rhea because he was the sole.
Like you said, they were both
yeah.
tied for the Golden Glove, so any pick would have been an acceptable pick on anyone's team.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Ricardo got hurt, so you know.
My man gets bullied on every corner. Come on.
That's what happens when boys play against men.
Oh, you mean when Tottenham was training?
Hey,
Kick him
All
in the
right.
shins.
season 3 is uploading. All right, what position
Canceled.
we're going to next? So I
did we all do back four or no?
I did a
Yeah,
back
let's do it.
four. So I did
You see, that is his Netflix buffering on season 3.
Yeah.
so I just went with the same information we've been using for this whole
4-3-3.
yeah.
All right, cool. Yeah, me too. Randy.
Yeah, same.
All right. You want to do center back pairings then?
All right.
All right. I went first. No, you went first.
I'll let win first.
All right, so you go, Randy.
Well, for me, of course, I went with Virgil van Dijk. And probably a surprise, I went with Nikola Milokovic from Nottingham Forest. I think he might have flew under the radar, but looking at his stats, he's a tall defender, so he came in clutch with aerial defense, and he's also a presence on set plays as well. I just think those two pairings would be, well on any team. So I picked those two as my center backs.
All right. I went with Van Dijk as well. I think still the best defender in the league, captain Liverpool
Clip it.
to another championship. And my second center back is Saliba. I think once Van Dijk eventually retires, I think Saliba will be right up there. And he's for being as young as he is, I think he's one of the best center backs in the league. And once again, I'm just going to bring up the goals against for Arsenal. I think we actually have the least amount in the league. Gabriel Magalhaes was injured for a big part of the season. Saliba had to be paired with multiple different right backs, left backs, and center backs. So I think he stood his ground. Not without some errors. Obviously, there was. He's still young, but I still think he was one of the best in the league this season. So Van Dijk and Saliba.
All right, so Romero and Archie Gray.
Okay.
No, so it hurts me, but I did pick Van Dijk, and I actually went with Gabriel over Saliba.
Okay.
And I don't know. Maybe I think Gabriel kind of reminds me of the player. He has similar play style to Romero. Correct me if I'm wrong. but what he offers, like offensively plus defensively, I think. I don't know. I think maybe that's just what I saw this season. He kind of carried a lot of a weight on his back. So
Yeah, he was scoring goals left and right before he got
So-
injured. So I think it's
He was a little forgotten, but you forget that he's actually good. He's quality because everyone's
he's-
thinking Saliba, but they forget about Gabriel.
yeah,
Yeah.
one of the factors I used to pick my lineup was the influence that they had on their team. So a lot of times like I'll say right now, like a lot of players I picked might not be the best in their position, but I think they were the most influential for their team because I feel like sometimes you could be really good at a position, but that's because the supporting cast you have around you make you that much better, you know? So
Yeah.
I
So I
agree.
feel
That's
like-
why I didn't pick Gabriel Saliba. I'm sort of going for these different players that aren't.
Oh, but you went for Van
but
Dijk?
Yeah, because
right?
all three of you guys went for Van Dijk.
You got, but
But I'm just going for
that's
like
why-
Alan said.
But that's why I picked Gabriel because I feel like he can influence a game,
Okay.
and especially
Yeah,
those
that makes sense.
those what was it? There's those set plays, the ones that they only score on. So so that
And then
my
they
two.
stopped?
It pains me because I'm giving you guys credit and I hate it and I rather just not. But
Yeah.
I'll be realistic for once.
Yeah, exactly.
That's fair.
It doesn't hurt to be realistic. All right.
right.
So then what? Our fullbacks?
Yeah.
All right. So
So-
I'll go first then.
Yep.
Oh, no, I went first. So it's Pat.
Yeah, Pat goes
Alright.
first.
So, kind of like how you mentioned, I think for my fullbacks, I wanted to mix it up a little bit. So I went with Kirkis, who is borderline about to sign with Liverpool now, right?
Ooh.
I think he was a stand-up play for Bournemouth, just like Nottingham Forest. Bournemouth was on fire this season. They did really well. So Kirkis for me. And on the right-hand side, right back, I went with Daniel Munoz from Crystal Palace, the Colombian. I think he had a standout season. He's a fantastic attacker. Scored a goal in the final against City in the FA Cup, but it was offside, unfortunately. But it was like a technical offside, but fantastic player. I think that game he was the star of the show. I think he got man of the match for that cup final, even with those disallowed goals. So I think he makes Crystal Palace better. And like Alan said, I think he's the kind of player that he makes that team better. So I went with Munoz. I think he was one of my highlight players this season.
Alan?
I went with on the left. I went with Anthony Robinson. I think the season he had, and like I said, with I think he had so I picked Robinson on the left, and I also went with Daniel Munoz on the right, and I think the type of performances that they both had was so good that they're either going to get a contract extension or they're going to get they're going to be some sort of I don't want to say record transfer, but they're going to be a high transfer, and they're, like I said, they're the teams that were influences on their team. I wanted to put Pedro Porro on the right, but he hit a point where fatigue was just it just made him crash out, and then Trent was just getting beat constantly. Where I feel like with Munoz, he had that season where he was producing defensively and offensively. And like I said, in La Copa America, if that motherfucker didn't get red carded, Colombia could have been, champions of La Copa America.
The cartel told him to do it.
Right. But I feel like that's the type of person, caliber of a player he is on the right. And I think he was kind of, underrated. But definitely, I think, like you said, in the cup final, he had his influence. So those are my two right back and left backs.
All I got to say is I think Alan and me just became best friends because I picked the exact same thing. I think Anthony Robinson from Fulham was he doesn't get a lot of credit because he's American, and I think they get looked down upon. But he was
Yeah.
phenomenal on the left side. He's great defending. He's always sprinting. He's always running up and down. He's a threat on the attacking as well. And Alan already mentioned it, and Pat as well, about Daniel Munoz from Crystal Palace. There's nothing much to be said, but yeah, I believe those two were the ones who I picked as my fullbacks.
Very nice. All right, so should we do our midfield three?
This is where I have.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, that's
so
where
Alan,
I'm a
you
little-
go first, right?
You go first. I
Wow.
want to copy someone.
Wow.
You gonna copy me? All right. Odegaard, right? No, just kidding. All right. I
No
guess-
players that won
no,
silverware. Stop.
Okay. So Chelsea. Let me see. Actually, Man United just won the Education Cup or something like that.
Oh, yeah. After they lost to Malaysia, it's like
Yeah, they want to beat Hong Kong though.
nice.
Um,
Should I go first? Are we doing
Yeah.
3 or just go by?
Yeah, just do three.
Just do
And-
3.
Let's go by.
knock it all.
Let's break up the midfield because I feel like there's a lot to talk about the midfield. So how
Well,
about
you
the
can do it
6?
on your.
How
You
about
can
the
do it on your
defensive
time.
mid? This is my
defensive
time.
mid.
Yeah.
Because I was going to go all 3.
All right,
No.
go. Let's do do defensive mid then.
So this is one of the places I had a toss up. I was leaning between, and this is gonna make Randy happy, but I was between Caicedo and Gravenberg. But because Randy decided to say the stuff he wanted to about Spurs, I'm gonna go with Caicedo.
Even better, he's Ecuadorian.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I rather
I
have
win
that
regardless.
side. Yeah, but I don't want the Liverpool side of you to be happy.
Okay, Latino power.
Yeah, Moises Caicedo, I think the 6. I think Gravenberg, it was very close. I think, honestly, he might have been... No, I'll just go Caicedo. We'll do that. I think he has a higher ceiling.
Okay. I went with Gravenberg. I think there was, like I said, it was honorable mention. I still think Party's one of the best ones in the league, but I think Gravenberg, last season, I think he showed up. But I think, like I said earlier, I think the jump was more impressive than the level what actually he was at. But this season, I think he was the player for Liverpool. And
Yeah.
I think out of all the top defensive midfielders in this league, he's the one that won the league. So I gave it to Gravenberg.
Ooh. That
Obviously,
was
Roger was
my-
out. So
Yeah, good thing. But regardless, I have to. It was a toss up for me as well, because I had either Moises Caicedo or Gravenberch, and it's a hard one for me. But not to be biased, but I did think I went with Caicedo at the end.
interesting. Okay.
Yeah,
So at least we got the 2.
Yeah. I
It
think
goes to
so.
show.
Those were the two standouts this season.
Yeah.
it could have gone either way, and I was just trying to put the Liverpool bias out of the equation. They were both phenomenal, but I just think Moises Caicedo might have edged it out for me. But I mean, Alan already spoke about it, and Pat already spoke about Gravenberch, but that's who I picked as my defensive mid, Caicedo.
The thing for me for Caicedo is that I feel like he in some games he kind of like disappeared. Where I feel like
Yeah.
Gravenberg was pretty solid all throughout, but I do also think that Caicedo probably has the higher ceiling.
And the thing about it is, I think Gravenberch can play a little. He doesn't have to just play the defensive
6.
mid. He can play
Yeah.
other
Like the
positions
8.
as well. Yeah, which is why like I said, picking my 3 midfield was a little tricky because that's how I see it, honestly. But yeah, Caicedo for me. I think
Someone
Seti didn't
disagrees.
agree with that one.
Yeah.
No. He's watching Europa highlights. That's why he's so excited.
Celebrating an own goal. Wow. I need to teach him the real way.
All right, so the holding or the 8.
The 8. The box to box.
Box to box, yeah.
Who's going first this time?
Shit.
You,
I think it's me. Oh,
Randy.
Yeah.
yeah. Well, like I said, it was difficult for me to pick, but I went with McAllister from Liverpool.
Who?
McAllister from Liverpool. You know, your Premier League winner.
That one.
I don't know. You
How does he
think,
laugh?
What you watching Home Alone by yourself again? I just think
Okay.
McAllister is. He doesn't get the credit he's done. He's
I thought
he's
Soboslai was the.
yeah, but
Well, I guess
they're
it's your team. It's your team. I'm sorry.
it is my team. God damn it, Alan! Don't interrupt. Like you told me. All right, I'm speaking. I don't care if you're Kings of Europe B
Europe. Yeah.
asterisk B whatever.
Talk to me in European.
But yeah, I do think McAllister has the edge over Soboslai for me. He's improved dramatically on the defensive end and as offensive as well. Basically, a lot of the plays go through him, and I just think that he did phenomenal, and he was a big key player in what happened with Liverpool in winning the title. He was basically undroppable at most of the games, and because of him, we were able to win the title. It goes through him.
Okay.
So McAllister for me.
Okay.
Pat
Oh,
or
me?
Alan,
Okay.
one of you two.
Pat.
I went with Declan Rice. I think he held Arsenal together this season. I think he had outstanding performances. He beat his record for goals scored. I think he had 6 total by the end of the season. First time he's ever gotten that. Obviously, the performances at the Champions League, outstanding. 2 men of the matches uh, against the champions. So I think he's my number 8. Yeah.
Ugh. Well, since your guys' opinions doesn't matter, I'll go. So for my 8, so I did have a runners up. I had 2 players. The one runner up I had was Sandro Tonali, and I know he didn't have the. I think he came in halfway through the season.
Yeah, he woke up like halfway in the season.
Well, I don't think he was allowed to play or. I think he
because of the
made it.
ban. But it wasn't that
yes.
long.
But I think he was very critical in like the way they ended the season. Very influential in that team. I would love to have him on our team, but I think it's a little secret, right? Right. I was always a big fan, not always, but I was a big fan of this player, and I hate the fact that he went to a rival team. But I agree with Pat that Declan Rice is the number for me. I think he's the number 8 of the season. And of course, everyone wants to talk about those free kicks against Real Madrid. But
You know what? Let's watch him again. Here, let me just share my screen.
But no, I think like you said, with those injuries, I think he maintained that midfield. And I've always admired him. Like I said, I hate that he wears that red, but I think you can't really. You gotta credits. You gotta give credit where credit's due. So he's the number 8.
All right, now we're doing the last midfielder.
The attacking mid.
all
Am I
right,
starting
so
this time? No, Randy.
Yeah, no,
yeah, I
you
think
go.
Me? Okay.
go ahead. Why not?
All right. So for my 10, and I know it's a little iffy with the way they play, but for my 10, I actually picked McAllister. I think I know, even though he plays on that left-hand side in the midfield, I do think he's the one who kind of strings the passes together, takes the free kicks. He's always right at the edge of the box. He's looking to make plays. He breaks up defenses. So I consider him more of a 10 than an 8. And I know he does do his part defensively as well. But I mean, I think most teams nowadays do. So I do, like Randy said, I think he was influential in their title win. He's the ticking ticking clock in that midfield. And I think he was one of their standout players this season. I think right behind Mo Salah. So McAllister is my 10 for my team of the season.
Slowly getting Pat into the other red. Well, I'll go next then. For me, I picked Morgan Gibbs White, which is why I believe he's getting a lot of attention from Manchester City. But and again, he's one of the reasons why Nottingham Forest has done so well with his contributions. He had 7 goals and 8 assists, I believe, and that's what helps. That's what you want from your attacking mid to get those passes and sometimes assist and do them goals. But I believe he might have been a little underrated or not as well looked at compared to the other players that are playing. But I think he was under the radar. But I do think that he did enough for Nottingham Forest to help them and to get where they are. For me, Morgan Gibbs White.
It's funny because that's actually who I have as my 10 as well.
Woo, woo.
I think the way he contributed to that team, and you know how I said I pick off of influential and obviously talent and stats, but a big portion of that is where you're playing and how you influence the team, and what he was able to do on that team is, I think, probably the main reason that they sat so high in the table for so long. Chris Wood as well, but who was feeding him the ball? You know, I mean, obviously you were getting balls from
Exactly
a lot of players, but I think Gibbs White was played a crucial role in that. So he is my 10 as well.
I think I brought it up in a previous episode that when you guys picked up Brennan Johnson, I really thought that Gibbs White was the better pick for Tottenham, and I was surprised that they went with Johnson instead.
I wonder
and
if
now
it's
look at
we
that.
had,
He's going to City.
Yeah.
Now.
age, bro, age. That's what they look at.
Well, not only that, I think they also saw, you know, James Madison in the midfield, and they thought maybe that's who he was going to be, and but he hasn't stayed healthy, and maybe if we would have picked up Gibbs White, you know, Solanke's twin, maybe they would have been like telepathic, you know, they would have been like on the same wavelength. They
Why
like,
couldn't
hey,
they have just gotten both? It's not like Tottenham don't have the money.
I'm telling you, that's what we go through constantly. But who knows? After this week, maybe we're gonna be owned by some different entity, and who knows?
Yeah,
maybe it'll be owned by Danny Levy's brother.
Apparently, Qatar was in the talks, but there's a lot of moral.
But
stuff.
does that affect you, or you'd be like, nah, give me that Saudi money, give me that oil money?
No, it kind of feels good doing it without it, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Because
like Manchester City.
Look what they're doing, and I don't know if I sent you guys the reel, but
yeah, you did.
They were talking about
do it.
how much money they spent, and they're wanting to be like, "Oh, look at our rebuild; it's so great." I'm like, "Yeah, because you're spending, like Pat said in the other episode, you spent more than what most teams do in the summer. You did that in the winter. Come on, like that's
insane. And the amount of money that they're about to spend now."
Exactly, and I'll joke around and be like, I'd rather see City win it than Liverpool and Arsenal,
because it doesn't mean anything to you.
Exactly, it doesn't mean nothing because you win it, and guess what? More people showed up to Crystal Palace winning the FA Cup than what Man City. Like what you did is nothing. You didn't. There is no football heritage there. You know.
Yeah,
you can argue
well said.
to your black and blue and tell me all how great your excuse my language, but how great your trophy cabinet is, but there's nothing there, you know. There might have been some, but but that's a whole different story for it. So maybe something that we can cover over the off season.
Yeah,
we got time.
All right.
Do we do left wing or we just go top 3?
I think we should go top 3.
Just do top 3. Right. I think that's more set in stone than midfield, which were a little more complicated.
Yeah. Who goes first?
I think it's your turn again.
Yeah, finish it out.
The champions? Okay. Left wing. I went Cunha. I know he plays 10, but I feel like I've seen him play on the left wing.
He plays on the wing too, yeah.
Okay, so Cunha's my left. even though he went to United. Scum. And then Mo Salah, rightfully, I had to put him on the right, even though Mbeumo had a great season. I think Mo Salah, rightfully so, on the right. And then in my striker, I put Sir Alexander Isaac.
All right. So I actually did pick Mbeumo, but I did put him on the left.
He plays left?
Well, he kind of plays like two strikers, so I don't know.
Oh, okay, that's true. I always see him on the right. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe
So I picked Mbeumo. Then on the right-hand side, I picked Salah, of course, player of the season. And up top, I did go Isaac, with Salah already being in the team of the season for me. Isaac scored one more goal than Erling Haaland. So Isaac it is. And obviously the hottest striker in the Premier League right now. It's going to take a lot of money to get him out of there. And Newcastle, by the skin of their teeth, they got into Champions League. They got the last spot.
If they would have made it, I think. So I wanted to ask you guys a question, but I don't think we'll get around to it this episode. So I want to save it for the next episode.
Okay.
All right. Jot it down so you don't forget.
Do you want me to tell you it so that we can discuss it?
Yeah.
So I'll bring it back up, but you bring up a good point. I wanted to ask you what team would be the most dissected team this season or this offseason. And
so
like
the
you said,
team that's going to sell the most?
Yeah, be torn apart. I think it's going to be one of these mid-tables teams that outperformed the expectations. But I think if Newcastle would have missed that Champions League position, I think they would have been, to me, the number one team that was going to get picked apart so they can just rebuild with a younger squad and just have quantity plus quality. But I think they saved themselves. But anyways, that's a different topic.
Yeah, but that's a good one for next episode. Well, for me, I picked Kevin Schad from Brentford to be on the left wing. And of course, Mo Salah on the right wing. His stats say enough. And I'll join you, gentlemen, as well as picking Alexander Isaac as my lead forward.
All right.
I think we basically agree on half of it, I believe.
Yeah. I think my team would beat both of your teams, but yeah.
No, my team would definitely.
I think that's why you have social media and let the fans decide.
Yeah, my team would.
All right.
And don't vote for your own team.
My team will say, I have a better goalkeeper anyway, so.
All right. Cool. So that's our teams of the season.
Oh, wait. What about honorable mentions? I have a huge list of honorable mentions I want to get through.
I mean,
we already passed the limit.
Huh? I'll go real fast.
Okay.
Wow. Typical of you.
All right, ready?
Yeah.
Morgan Rogers.
Okay, yeah.
Anthony Longa.
Yeah.
Eze.
Yeah.
Holland. Chris Wood.
Chris Wood, yeah.
James Madison, but obviously health issues. Cole Palmer, although he had a little bit of a drought, I think he still performed. Luis Diaz, Telsman, Van der Ven, and then Jed Spence. But obviously, I think Tottenham did not.
You guys are 17th.
I think I kind of looked.
Honorable mention is all Spurs.
Yeah, small sample sizes. I think they don't. There's reasons why they didn't make. I just have to mention them.
Honorable mention be like Trent finally leaving. I think Sonny finally gets his cup.
Trent got beat. Yeah. Trent's just a body that stands there. He just wears a jersey. That's all he does. I mentioned
Sancho got Chelsea back in the Champions League, and now he's getting kicked out. Honorable mention to Nuno and the owner, the fight.
Oh yeah,
Honorable mention to Cucurella's hair.
Wisa as well, man. You can't forget Wisa.
Wisa, yeah.
Bruno Fernandes.
Honorable mention to Vardy, his last game.
Oh, yeah.
And it didn't go the way he wanted it, but
Kepa.
And Kepa.
Oh, you know what's a good honorable mention?
honorable mention? Kepa. And honorable mention to Vardy, his last game. And Kepa. Yeah. And Kepa. And honorable mention to Vardy, his last game. And Kepa. And honorable mention to Vardy, his last game. And
Oh, yeah.
oh, you know what's a good honorable mention? the keeper for Everton,
Pickford.
Pickford.
I forgot about that dude.
Might as well give it David Moyes. You see, there you go.
Also,
David Moyes,
what's
I got your back.
the winger for West Ham?
Which Kudos?
No, the
Or
other
your
one.
Surchek? No,
The other
Suchek.
one. The other one.
Oh, Bowen.
Bowen. Jared Bowen. Honorable mention.
Or Tom Suchek was not. He's Tom Suchek.
Yeah, he was as well. He was good.
He's
as well.
all right. I think
guess.
Kudus is great too.
Semenyo.
How about honorable mention to
Now you're making the list too long now.
Wow.
Uh,
Hey,
Yuri-
Alan, you were
Yuri
quick. Now
Tillemans.
he's taking his time.
Vicario.
Yuri Tillemans?
That's what
Yeah,
Alan said.
I said.
Well, he doesn't pay attention. There you go. Go to honorable men. Go. We're done
Whatever
with this
happened
segment.
to the guy that went to Villa from Everton? Onana.
He was injured for a while, I think.
Ah,
Oh,
okay.
shit. Totally forgot
Okay, well,
about him.
soon.
Yeah.
Honorable mention to Nori's leg hair.
Ruben
to the broken
Emery's
glasses.
patience.
Yeah.
The staff at Manchester United, they just seeing them buy Mbueno and Cunha, and they're still just eating PB&J sandwiches. Good job, guys.
They get fired and they're walking out the door, and then here comes Cunha walking in with their paycheck. Shitty. That's shitty.
With their fucking car of the year, all that shit. Oh, man. Sorry.
Oh, when the manager
of the season?
we don't need to get into this.
That's hard to choose, man. There was a lot of good coaches.
I would have said Nuno, but that fall from grace.
Yeah, it was bad.
If he would have been able to keep Champions League, I think he would have been. But
Honorable
Should we
mention
go,
to Pep's wife.
the
Enzo
technical
Fernandez's
genius.
wife/girlfriend.
Girlfriend,
His
yeah.
kids.
The breakup and then rekindle and then whatever works, right?
Yeah.
So, are we gonna do memorable
moments?
Moments?
Let's do it. Let's end up on a good note.
All right, give me one
Unless you're a
moment.
Spurs fan, because they ain't good moments.
Are we doing anything related to this season from this episode forward? Are we closing it out? I guess we have to, right?
Oh, yeah, we'll probably bring it up.
Oh, okay. Well, you guys want to give us some top 3 moments?
Yeah, I'm gonna do Jimmy Vardy's last game, 200. 200
I just picked
goals.
Spurs.
And I'm gonna go when the ref got hit with the ball and he blew the whistle to stop the play. That was one of my favorite moments. Not favorite, but memorable. I would say Trent getting booed at Anfield. That was sight to see. And Arsenal's 5-1 win over Manchester City.
Whoa,
finally
we had
broke it.
3. We had 3 moments. Why are you picking 4? You have to sneak
okay.
in
I'm
there.
surprised
Arsenal.
you didn't. I'm surprised you didn't say the Declan Rice free kick.
I mean, yeah, I figured I'd stick to the Premier League.
There you go. Someone who follows.
Oops.
Sorry, Alan. You
I
got to
did
redo
everything-
all
I did
yours.
everything but the Premier League.
You did Europa.
What the
That's
hell do you
he
want me to
did.
talk about?
The own goal when the ref blew the whistle, the celebrations.
Your injuries. Well, I'll go since Alan's probably got to redo his list. Well, I agree with
I'm
Pat's.
European winner.
Yeah, so are we. 6 times. How many are you? 1?
No, more than that.
You have to look. Well, I'll let you look it up while I do my memorable moments. I agree with Pat. Vardy's last appearance, which happens to be his 500th appearance, and he was also able to score his 200th goal for the club. A nice send-off for him. And, of course, I got to go with the sacking of Eric Ten Hag. Because, they're
Feels
our
like years
rivals,
ago.
so why not? Yeah, but he had I think Ruben's got to thank him, because if not for him, they would have been relegated.
Mhm.
Those points are all Eric's. But I just think it was I forgot. I think it was maybe sooner than we expected, honestly. And then looking at it now, you're like probably regretting it with Ruben because he wasn't able to get the points that Eric had before he left. but I think that was and I believe everybody expected it too. But that was a memorable moment for me. And of course, April 27th, Liverpool 5, Spurs 1. Liverpool clinching the Premier League title.
Their cheeks.
Thank you, Spurs, for showing up. But yeah, of course, getting our 20th Premier League title, tying us with Manchester United. And even better to do it against my buddy Alan's Spurs team. There you go.
I want to cancel all those trophies because apparently when it comes to Tottenham, nobody counts the trophies we won back in the 70s, 80s.
Were you alive
you
back
guys
then?
count trophies. You guys are like, oh, we won 20 trophies, blah, blah, blah. Bro, you haven't even won once. I'm not even going to get into this.
Yeah.
Anyways, I thought we were going to do where we did personal moments, for our own teams that meant something this season. But I guess I went too deep into it because I don't have anything but Spurs. I was going to say the Bergvall goal in the first leg of the Carabao Cup against Liverpool. I know we didn't win that second game, but it kind of was one of those good feel moments, David versus Goliath, and we got something accomplished. We played with our B team the whole. We played with our C team most of the season, so they weren't able to score against us, so that was a good feeling. Jed Spence scoring in the mini league, in the Premier League against I think it was Ipswich. It wasn't a major moment. It wasn't something that switched the tide, but it just showed his goal in the Carabao Cup against Coventry City, and in the league, it was just kind of a feel-good moment for him because you felt like he's been kind of pushed around and sent off on loan and wasn't given a real chance, and he was able to show that off, and that was a good moment for him. And then the Van der Ven clearance in the Europa League final, I think to me that meant more than the goal itself. That wasn't an own goal. It's actually
No, it was an own goal.
No, Johnson scored that. The UEFA said it's his goal, so it's his goal.
Magic Johnson used some magic with the help of Manchester United defender.
I want to freaking give what's his name Yamal all the credits. He can't do what Brandon Magic Johnson does. So hey, whatever. And then honorable moment was when it came out that United had printed a bunch of shirts that said, "Lads, it's Tottenham," and guess what? You fucking lost, so that's it. 2024, 2025, you've been a rough year, but we made it through, and let's see what's to come in the future. And that's that.
We will see.
Very nice.
Ange in or Ange out.
And a memorable moment when Arsenal beat Ipswich Town to save Tottenham from relegation because these many points.
I'm surprised you didn't save that one, Alan.
Why? We were gonna do what we need to do.
Yeah,
lose because you've been doing it really well in the Premier League 22 times.
I can't hear you over my trophy.
Oh, trophy! Wow. Let's see how long that lasts.
What's that? Speak over the asterisk. I can't hear you.
Asterisk season. There you go.
All right, and that's an episode. Thank you so much for joining us today on Rivals on the Pitch. Hope you liked our teams of the season. Comment on our Instagram. Let us know which one is best. You can also leave comments on Spotify. Listen to all new episodes on Spotify and Apple Podcast. Hopefully you tune into the next episode. We'll start digging into all these rumors. We already have a couple that have been confirmed by my friend Fabrizio. And we'll definitely have to get into what our expectations are. We'll make predictions on where the league will go. And we will do our annual rating of the jerseys. Obviously, only a few have come out so far. But once they all out, we will be rating all the jerseys from 1 to 20th. And so much so much to look forward to. Even though the season is over, there's still so much content to cover. We hope you join us again. I'm Pat.
And I'm Alan.
And I'm Randy.
Oi.
See ya.
Season 2 will be better than season 1.